It was December 10th, 1994, almost 20 years ago. And it was raining hard. We'll come back to that in a second. Have you ever had one of those moments where you continuously hear a message from someone, maybe an elder, maybe a teacher, but it just doesn't sink in, you know? You go on day by day, maybe you've heard it so much in the back of your mind, it just doesn't feel like it's up here, it hasn't sunk lower down into your heart. Many of you have heard that I've had training by a Sufi master from the age of 17. One of the things he taught over and over again was be present, be in the moment. And if you live in the moment, there are adventures in that moment to be discovered. But to begin with, you have contentment, you have calmness, you get to enjoy life. December 1994, I was in the midst of my second year university exams. I had a little bit of a break. I knew there was 2 days left to my next exam, and I knew, like most other students, that you're most efficient when cramming, right? Planning and all that doesn't work. The night before, you just gotta cram. Coffee, cold, open the window, stay up and work it. So I decided to take a little break. Went and grabbed my best friend at the time and my brother, and we went down to this pool hall downtown to shoot some pool. And I had just gotten this brand new car. It was black. It was almost looked like a race car. Oh my God, I had just driven this thing off the lot like a month ago. Super excited to be driving this. And it had this bucket seats when you sit. Oh, it just felt good all around my body. When I picked up my buddy, had my brother in the car, we went and played pool. And we had a great time. My brother was younger. I didn't want him to continue to be exposed to the rest of the stuff we were going to do. So we decided to drop him off at home. As we're driving home, it's raining so hard that I can barely see the distance between here and the wall in front of us. I come to this huge intersection, stopped behind a light. I had a red light, stopped, and I had to turn left. The turning light turned green, so I drove halfway into the middle of the intersection. And that's what it happened. A big sound. I don't remember the impact, but the sound I remember. The car hit us right here, like a T-bone type accident. My head went out of the window like that, so we got hit here, my head went out of the window. And then I came back into the car and hit the passenger, which was my buddy. My head hit his head. The car was spinning around so fast in the middle of this intersection. And in that moment, everything slowed down. I don't know if you've ever felt that. It's almost magic. You know? It's almost like you're watching a movie and things just kind of slow down to a stop. Because the car was spinning real fast. I mean, thinking about it now, the car must have been spinning really, really fast. But those few seconds before we hit a curb and ended up in this gas station across the intersection, couldn't have taken more than a second or two. But in those moments that seemed to last forever, I remember thinking, am I alive? And that question was the question that truly changed my life. Because at that moment I was thinking, have I lived my life? I was 21 years old, still in school, wasting my time, thinking about it now. My face started getting warm. That wasn't a sign for me that I was alive. I was still thinking, am I alive? Am I dead? Am I alive? Am I dead? Because I didn't know what it feels like to be dead. I had no point of reference, right? But as the car was spinning, the window by me was shattered, so the rain was hitting my face. And for some reason, it was almost like the rain woke me up. I was like, I must be alive. I can feel the rain on my face. The car finally stops. It goes and it hits this curb and jumps over the curb into the gas station. And as I sat there, I looked down and there was just blood everywhere. Got out of my car. I had to kick the door open. And the first thing I did was I checked and looked. My brother looked like he was okay in the back. My buddy looked like he was okay. I'm like, okay, these guys are okay. I gotta make a phone call. Ran across to a payphone, called 911. And I came back towards the car. This lady comes up to me and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." She says, "You're not. Sit down." She says, "Trust me, I'm a nurse. Sit down, and I'm going to put this." She had like a towel, a white towel, I think, in her hand. She said, "I'm going to put this on your face." She put this thing on, lifted it. It was soaking wet with blood. It was dripping blood. I saw that, and I thought, okay, it's bad. Right? I asked her. I said, "How bad is it?" She goes, "Oh, well, you have a couple of cuts." I said, "Okay, how bad is it?" She goes, "I can see your eyeball from the top. We need to wait for an ambulance."
Oh, wow.
I still wear the marks to this day, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm reminded of that. I'm reminded that I've been given another opportunity. But you know what? This is the point that I'm trying to get across to you through this story. In that moment, we all think that, you know, when I'm about to die, that's probably the most difficult moment of my life. But in that very moment, nothing else mattered. I was just there. I just was. Same person. You know, had I started thinking about the future, what's going to happen, I'm going to miss my exams, all of the stuff that did happen, I would have started to worry, panic, the pain would have settled in. And before that, had I worried about the rain and how am I going to drive and all that stuff, again, I would have been worried sick. Right? So the key is to stay in that present moment. And his teaching at that moment of time sank in. I realized that. I wore a smile on my face, and I remember this vividly. When I sat in that ambulance going towards the hospital, the paramedic asked me, he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Of course." He says, "I've never seen anybody be in an accident and have a smile on their face. Are you sure you're okay? Your head hit pretty hard. Are you sure something didn't move? Why are you happy?" I said, "Number one, because I'm alive. Number two, because I didn't kill anybody in the process." Mr. Toastmaster.